concept. And I identify the taxonomies of the deontic relationship on an obligation. And you see here there are a set of relationship include bilateral contract, sequential contract, and so forth. These are exotic. These are exotic. Every kind of contract, even international organization procedure, follow this kind of contract. And I examine again, I send my contract law and ICC and to verify this claim. And you can look at that in chapter 5. Also, I identify taxonomies of the deontic chain.
So you went to the contract and find out all these obligations?
On possible structure, on possible contractual structure.
How you become sure that you didn't miss anyone?
Right, completeness, right? Right. The thing I'm sure here is just based on the area of domain that I mentioned, because everything here is based on a set in the dissertation. You will see a set of law that I'm looking at. Include the contracting law, include the ICC, include the Incoterm, and so forth. These are the set of rules that govern inter organizational transaction, especially in business transactions.
So based on limited scope still, right? You can't claim these applicable based on what you examined.
And yet, if you look at the limitation, you will see it's clearly here. Okay, I'm not considering the second order relation. For instance, I'm not looking at an option contract. An option contract. An option contract is a contract that I promise I do not revoke the establishment of a future contract. I mean, you can anytime decide to establish the contract in the future. So that kind of thing relates to what? Legal theory is on the second order relation, and I not look at that. In this research, this is one of the limitations. I look at the specific here, what I claim here is on an obligation. And if you look at the taxonomy, you will see it's completely for an obligation. There are nothing more.
No, my point, I understand that. I think it's nothing negation or nothing negative about your dissertation. What you have done is excellent, but I'm trying to understand the scope of applicability in this case, because
back to slide 15.
Yeah.
Because this 1 to 10, you're coming up with some obligation. Now, if you go to some lawyer may say, no, there is another 11th obligation mentioned in this contract. How do you become sure that 11th obligation doesn't exist in that contract?
Right.
Is there any list of obligation that is mentioned in any document that you have captured, or you have gone through line by line on the contract and find out, okay, these are the obligations I'm finding in the contract?
Let me explain. This is the possible structure of obligation. This is on possible structure of application. This is include like a unilateral contract, like a reward contract. Someone lost a dog account, and they promise that if you return to them, they will give you some money.
I understand, but why you are saying this is the only possible?
Right. If you look at the analytical purpose, there is nothing more. You see, there are certain components. An obligation held from whom to whom, an action and a condition. You see, and by that, by vary the thing, you will see there is a conditional obligation. There is an absolute obligation and an end. There is an obligation, an absolute obligation and a conditional obligation. There is two conditional obligations.
You don't see it quite here, but it's kind of like a matrix.
Right, this is like a matrix. So you see, these are combinations are exotic. There is nothing else related to the obligation.
So if someone came up with a new type of contract, you could represent it with a Deontic pattern.
Sure, if it's not
like
a second order
contract or something
right.
like that.
If it's not a second order contract.
Like a commute or something
Right,
like that.
right. If it's not about the option contract like I mentioned before, as the limitation I say, it's not about like, the contract is really interesting.
But you could extend it to handle options.
Sure.
Yeah.
It isn't here.
Yeah, and the deontic chain too. If you look at the deontic chain,
Perhaps Koshik is more hinting at the way you've worded it than the actual work underneath it.
right. If you look at the deontic chain, you see these are like taxonomies. Right. But the taxonomies of the deontic chain.
Not what I asked for.
There's 10 more to come.
Back to slide 15.
Right.
Out of the appendix. Perhaps if you put that as for the known types of contracts out there, these are the obligations that we can represent, or something along those lines. And it's extensible to handle new types of contracts should they arise.
Yeah, that may be a good.
Yeah, because you can't ever say that okay, this is exhaustive. You can it's more intuitively exhaustive. You're not formally proving that that's an exhaustive set.
Yeah, for me, in an obligation, it is assaulted. There are no other
Well,
way.
within a certain, the thing
Look
is,
at
when you say
structure, yeah.
an obligation, it sounds kind of
It
open-ended.
does sound very
When you,
open-ended.
when you say in bilateral contracts between this person and this
Yeah,
person,
then yes.
Yeah.
Then
then you scope it out, and within this
Right,
scope,
right.
there's only
Yeah.
10
Yeah.
possible
Then you can
sets.
scope it. But
Yeah,
you can say
you
okay.
could say this is the life cycle we consider.
Yeah.
But what I was also
Yeah.
thinking, when you have 1 to 10 list, you
Right.
say, okay, these 1 to 10 are the only obligations possible in every
No.
possible contract.
If you would just put the word bilateral in slide 15.
No, but also, these are the ones we consider.
Yeah, as one thing I think
Yeah.
People are asking for him to make his scope explicit.
Right.
That's all right.
Right. I think in the dissertation it's mentioned clearly the scope I look at is the bilateral contract.
But
Your
also-
audio is getting all of this? It's not
Right,
gonna
the
run out
bilateral
'cause we're not-
contract. Right.
I'm
Look at
relying
the
on that
contract
to catch
within-
the details here.
Including the Las Vegas.
No, it doesn't, no, isn't
I'm gonna have to live with that,
Yeah, but also if you look only at the
The rumors
bilateral-
I would never do
Oh, the
such-
Las Vegas guy.
I would never do such.
Okay, two lighter question on, two light questions. Don't go in.
Yeah, meaning still the appendix.
Don't go into the appendix. Go to slide 3.
Motivation?
Yeah. How do you do the outline? Is it possible in PowerPoint? Microsoft
Yeah,
PowerPoint?
yes, with PowerPoint. I know it.
No, you can manually, you can automatically create this outline at every slide, or is it you do it manually?
Yes, time consuming.
It's very time- yes, very time
You
consuming.
may- You may infer from that.
So it's not automatic?
No.
No, it's not
Okay,
automatic.
so that's my second.
And there were 10 PowerPoint questions.
My third question is, where are you trying to publish? What is the target?
Yes, actually we try already. We put in some draft paper already. They are currently I work with professionally on 2 paper or 2 drafting articles. The one drafting article is about the formalism, and we target to the data and knowledge engineering of processor rate computer software. Another is about the methods for the writing control requirement. And this one, currently I target to some journal on the electronic commerce, because it may fit to them, because this one is more about trade. I also try to develop a paper that in using the practitioner term, mainly to convince practitioner that Deontic foundation is important for designs of inter-organizational control procedure. There's no formal term or formal formula there, just word to convince the practitioner side. So maybe 2 or 3 publications come, but it depends on the future.
That's it.
Normally, the advisor doesn't really ask a question, except for clarification questions, the leading question. I have just one leading question. There's one word that you and I have talked about a lot, but I didn't see in the slides, and that word is harmonization. Here we go.
No application.
There's gotta be there in the appendix.
Reach as far as
I put the harmonization into the future research. I consider the harmonization in the situation here. There is different requirement, different legal requirement or regulation requirement between different countries or different trade agreement and so forth. So different law may have different requirement that may lead to a contradict between the 2. You require contradiction. You require to do A, and the other require to do some B, and A and B cannot be achieved at the same time or at the same person. And
So
on.
Deontic concept.
Right, Deontic concept. So the thing here, I envision actually in the dissertation you see here, there are two components with harmonization.